Seagulls are here.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Foggy with a Chance of Seagulls. I am Evan. This is
Clark. That's me.
Missed his cue.
No.
And
Do that again.
we're back.
Sorry.
We're back. We were on assignment. The assignment was to go enjoy our lives a little bit, and that means not watching every Giants game lately. It's been a little bit bleak on the Giants front, but as always, there's good things to talk about, some negative things to talk about. But Clark, how you doing on this fine Sunday?
I'm good. The good news is the Giants didn't have a game today, so I didn't have to. Oh wait, they did. Sorry. Blake Snell started.
Farhan cooked. You know who did not cook is Blake Snell, not practicing enough during spring training. My guy, the video games will always be there, okay? But those numbers, those runs that you have given up in your first few starts, they're also going to always be there. So, but in a way that's more permanent, I think, than you'd like.
It is really interesting. I think we talked about how like spring training numbers don't mean anything, and then we watched Blake Snell really struggle in his first action against live hitters, and it's like, oh yeah, spring training matters. It doesn't matter that Logan Webb has a 9 ERA every spring, but the fact that he's pitching against hitters matters. So my fantasy team is hurting, if I'm being honest, because I drafted Blake Snell and I've been starting him the last couple of weeks. No one cares about our fantasy league. You don't even care about our fantasy league. And yet you're still beating me. Not the point. The Giants have been struggling, but I also think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Evan, but I feel like we kind of predicted that they would struggle out the gate. Is that right?
I think that we've predicted everything that would happen thus far in the Giants season, and we are both oracles, no relation to the park. But I think it's something that we were definitely prepared for. I guess if you had to describe this team so far in 3 words, what 3 words would you choose? It's almost like what do we even make of what we're seeing right now? Defense.
Infield defense is good. They love taking fastballs down the middle. Insert a word there for that. And
stupid.
It's not one word, but it's an acronym. RISP. What does that mean for the lovely listeners?
RISPECT.
They don't got none.
Something like that.
The Giants are really struggling to hit with
runners
exactly
in scoring place, and they don't get from the scoring place to the home base part. And that's because they're not hitting it. And I guess, look, the pitching is going to be fun, is my feeling eventually. Right now, it's looking rough. It's just sometimes. But, you know, Webb is rounding into the Webb that we know. Keen Wynn at the back of the rotation has not even been bad. We've just been giving him no run support. Jordan Hicks looks amazing.
More on him in a second.
And Harrison looks good too, you know, not perfect, but I don't know. It's going to be fine. The pitching is going to be fine. The hitting is at times difficult to watch and not unfamiliar to us. Like, this brand of Giants baseball is actually very identifiable with pick your number year from the last few years. I mean, that's rough stuff, but I think that there's some encouraging signs on the horizon.
That's my favorite part of this, actually, is that this is a very familiar Giants team. We're very used to having very tough offensive stretches with great pitching and good defense. And the last couple of years has just been awful defense, a lot of power, and mediocre pitching. And like, that's just not the Giants' identity.
Yeah.
So am I stoked that we're 6-10 right now? No, but there are a ton of good teams right now who are not starting that great. The Pirates last year were in first in the NL Central to start the month of April, and they won like 74 games. So quick starts don't matter. Slow starts don't matter. It's a long season. My biggest positive is that the Giants right now are leading or at the top of major leagues in a lot of like process hitting stats. For the listeners, that is like
classic
analytical nerds trying to justify why a team that's bad should be better. And that's what I'm going to do right now. They are second in hard hit percentage behind the Braves. when you're neck and neck with the Braves in anything, that's a good thing. Except for pitchers whose elbows have exploded. Sorry, Spencer Strider.
RIP to his elbow.
And we're also fourth in baseball in average exit velocity. And a big reason for that is Jung-Hoo Lee is actually significantly above average in average exit velocity. Problem is he's hitting a lot of balls on the ground, but he's passing the smell test, not the Snell test, but the smell test. And he's a legit big leaguer. So that's my biggest positive right now, is that like, it feels like we're still on track offensively, but yeah. What's a positive thing that you have taken away from the start of the season, Evan?
Let's talk about a little bit the game on yesterday, against the Rays. It's like we see what it could look like if we like do everything right. And it was honestly just so nice to watch Webb deal and just know that like the plays were going to be made behind him, and there wasn't really a question of that. Like, that's really nice. And Nick Ahmed hasn't been a savior, but he also has not been a zero out there, and definitely not in the infield diamond. I think seeing him field, it's like we need that. We really need that on the team. And then Tyro, as always, is looking good. Chapman looks good. Jung-Hoo Lee's doesn't have the strongest arm ever, but he takes good routes to the ball. So yeah, that's been really impressive to me.
Yeah, back to Ahmed real quick. I saw something that he leads all infielders in outs above average, and so he's bringing it defensively. You mentioned, and we're going to get into this a little bit more, but like our rotation is inducing a lot of ground ball outs, and we're very easily putting those into outs, And that's a big thing, and that's going to continue over the course of the year. I also want to shout out real quick. We're going to talk about players specifically, but in the kind of positive sign camp, seeing Michael Conforto come out to this strong of a start is huge. You talked about this before the season started, what a difference that would make. What are your thoughts on Conforto and the year he started to have?
We'd be talking like 2 and 10 and whatever that math would be, 14 or something like right now at this point without his offense. I mean, especially in like the first week, he was like carrying the team on his back, and every at bat feels like competitive from him. Obviously in baseball, you can't succeed all the time, but like, I think as long as you're like confidently doing what you're doing, I forget where it was, but I was listening to something talking about pitchers, and like pitchers just have to like feel that every pitch that they make is going to be the best pitch. Do you know what I mean? And so too, I think hitters have to think that they're going to put the bat on the barrel on the ball every time they come to bat. And it feels like he does. And, like I said, it's redemption season, it's payday season. So he feels motivated, and just hope that he stays on the field, stays healthy. Before the season, many pitchforks were being prepared about Matos and all that stuff, but he's kind of been slumping in AAA.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly that died down.
Unless it's Heliot Ramos that they bring up. I mean, I kind of feel like the outfield unit is okay. Yaz is starting to look a little better.
Yeah.
It's been a rough going for him at the beginning, but I feel like he's rounding into shape a little bit.
I can't imagine it helped to play the opener and then have a baby, and he's not getting the best sleep. So I can't imagine the like stop and start lack of sleep is helping him. But
right. How do they handle it? Him and Paige Yastrzemski maybe handle that situation just like as a couple. Like, obviously Mike has to do some things, but he also has stuff to go do. So like he can't be like, waking up every night during the night. I don't mean, there must be some split there. What do we think?
Well, I imagine it's hard when they're on the road in Florida. That's my first thought. But no, but I think that's a really interesting question. I think there's probably an understanding that like during baseball season, you're 80% a single mom. And, you go into a partnership with a Major League Baseball player or even a minor league baseball player, kind of understanding that. quick anecdote. A friend of a friend is engaged to a former A's draftee. He's out of baseball himself, but all of his best friends are baseball players. And so they're planning their wedding, and they're like, my groomsmen can only be available from like October to like February. So we have to get married in that time, or else my best friends won't be at the wedding. So I think a similar dynamic is at place with this of like, she wants the best for him on the field, but you want him to succeed. And, you know, waking up at 2 a.m. every week is maybe not going to help him succeed. But
like, also here's the thing though, like, can't they like do the math?
Well,
do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if you would be in their situation, you would want to like be pretty intentional about when you do that. And I'm always curious about baseball players that like have their
you saw
kids,
last
like,
year
right smack dab in the season.
Dodgers, like 8 guys on their team all had children in like the same month, basically. I saw this last year where like, and Bellinger, who's on the Dodgers, but then he went to the Cubs, like they were all having children around the same time. So yeah, maybe they tried to plan it a little bit, but hard to plan ultimately.
Yeah.
And then you don't want
hard to plan, but
anyway, this is not Foggy with a chance of ovulation. All right. So
we're looking for a rebrand. So maybe that's the one.
Back to the Giants. Oh, and I wanted to just briefly shout out, we were talking about Yaz, but also Tyro really started to struggle as the year started, but he had a great series against the Rays. So shout out Tyro. I think our team is much more dynamic when he's playing well. He just brings a very specific element.
I definitely agree. I mean, I saw some quote talking about All-Star, and I was like, let's freaking slow our rolls here a bit, and let's get his average into a normal place first. But obviously, love seeing him like start to get heated up with power too.
The All-Star stuff's happening because Bob Melvin is pushing it already. Like, I watched this whole thing in the pregame where Melvin's like, yeah, when he's playing well, the defense combined with his hitting ability, I've told him since I took over, he could be an all-star. And when you look at the second baseman in the National League, with Mookie now being a shortstop, you don't have a ton of like really good second basemen in the National League. Like Ketel Marte, Bryce Terang, like these are guys that aren't going to like automatically get votes even in the down year. You know, like Tyro could absolutely be an all-star if he starts heating up.
I think that he could, but again, I need to see just a little bit more consistency from our man because he was looking absolutely lost out there for a bit. So would love to see him get back to himself more over time. But as I have to keep telling myself, the season is still young. Anyway, I think shifting over to negative town. Oh, negative. Boo. What is something that concerns you about this team right now?
I mentioned this already. One of the big things is our approach seems to not be conducive to hitting the ball. And by that, I mean, Grant Brisbee wrote a really good article on Friday detailing how the Giants are just taking a ton of pitches down the middle. And even the pitches that they're swinging at, they're not hitting. I think most notably the Giants on Tuesday night against the Nationals, who freaking turn into World Series champions against us every time they play us. But the Nationals loaded the bases in the bottom of the ninth for us. And we had Chapman up with 1 out, bases loaded. We needed a run to tie the game. And he took a middle fastball and grounded into a sharp double play. And I think that represents so much of the early season for me of just like, we're not doing damage on hittable pitches and we're taking a lot of pitches down the middle too, highlighted by that Grant Brisbee article in The Athletic, which you should check out if you have a subscription.
Yeah. I mean, there were calls for Pat Burrell's head early in the season. And I just want to say Giants that's so stupid. What hitting coach is going to be like, here's our approach. So the fastball down the middle, we're going to avoid that one. And instead, like, what is the logic in that? Especially from a winner, like Pat Burrell. put some respect on his name, okay? If it's the end of the season and things are still looking like this, maybe we can revisit that conversation. But give it some damn time. But yes,
what's a negative for you so far?
It's starting to take shape for me a little bit, but the bullpen early on, it was kind of like, oh yeah, we didn't do anything really about that in the offseason. And, the plan was really to just lean on, these young guys and whatever. And then all of a sudden you look up and Nick Avila is on the team and you're like, where did this guy come from? What is, but this is a rare negative, I feel like, in this season that I feel like is upwardly moving as, we see more of Landon Roop. Ryan Walker looks set to not be a one and done type guy. I think it's rounding into shape a little bit, but especially considering how mostly decently our rotation has been pitching, it was just alarming to see winnable games go away because of the bullpen, which, we kind of just like didn't think too much about it and was like, yeah, they'll probably be fine. But anyway, just seeing, the Rogers twins not play at the level that they can yet, but it's coming. It's coming, I feel.
Totally.
Yeah.
An interesting aspect of the season so far, too, is the lack of action for Camilo.
Yeah.
It's been like we either score 10 runs or we lose. And yeah, Duvall's just bored sitting twiddling his thumbs. He's like, when does the season start? I want to pitch.
Do you think he can
so
hit?
I'm hoping this next... Yeah, maybe.
Pinch hit or something.
Think he could DH? I bet he could hit.
I think he could be a modern day Brooks Kiesnick.
Actually, I think we should go down a tangent of Brooks. No.
I would. Continue.
But yeah, I think we just haven't gotten into the leverage situations and like gotten into consistency with winning games. And I think, to your point, once we get into like normal offensive output, the starters are pitching pretty well, giving us a chance to win every time, unless your name's Snake Bell. But as we mentioned, he'll come around. But no, I think we're going to get into a groove with it at some point where, starter goes 6 or 7, hands the ball to Walker, Rogers twins, Luke Jackson when he's back, and Camilo. And then it'll feel like, oh yeah, this is our formula to winning. But it's not kind of hit its stride, so to speak, yet. So
yeah, I'm a big Juan Sanchez head. I'm hoping that we see him in the bullpen this year. I don't know why. I just like the vibes. I'd love to see him on the club.
I like it too. Yeah, I hear great things from Roger Munter, prospect guru himself. Quick question for you.
Yes.
We've had a ton of lineup continuity so far. Yeah. And it feels like the biggest change from Kapler to Melvin. Because honestly, the like issue with runners in scoring position and the like pitching and all that stuff doesn't feel too different. But every day it's pretty much Lee, Wade, Soler, Conforto, Chapman, Yaz, Tyro, some combination, Bailey, and then Ahmed. Are you happy about lineup continuity, or are you really missing platoons and waiver wire pickups? I'll take your answer off the air if necessary. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, what do you think about the lineup continuity?
I feel like you're forcing me into a binary, which I choose not to participate. Yeah, I'm woke. Okay, yeah. No, I just feel like it would feel better if the lineup was better. I mean, when you see that same lineup every day and we're scratching across 1 to 2 runs, it doesn't necessarily like give me that warm, fuzzy feeling of like my strong boys are going out there today like they always do. I think that there's way more potential in everybody in the lineup. Even somebody like Lee, who's looked good, there's way more. Like, I mean, the numbers, if you look at them, still aren't like super impressive yet, just like the non nerd numbers and whatnot. But like, yeah, it's good, but it's almost like, for me, putting like the cart before the horse, like a little bit. But I don't really, it's not like I'm necessarily advocating for big platoons either. But it was always going to like take some time to establish like the brand that we're going to do. Under Melvin, so many new players on the team, just seeing how it all fits together, trying to like lock in and see what are those like common goals that different players can share. And we definitely don't have that yet. I think we see the talent on display from time to time, and we can't say enough about Jordan Hicks, by the way, and how fun he's been to watch. But
actually, let's talk about Jordan Hicks, if you don't mind me
please.
spitting a little bit. Jordan Hicks has 3 starts. He's pitched 18 total innings, averaging 6 per start, obviously. If I'm remembering this correctly, I think he's only given up 1 earned run. That might be 1 or 2, but he has not been striking out as many guys as I think we expected, especially after his kind of run as a reliever. But what he's doing is he's basically copying Logan Webb. He is inducing a ton of ground balls. His sinker is living at like 94 to 96. And then it feels like anytime there's runners on base, he's throwing that thing like 99. And he's really pacing himself, throwing a ton of pitches. It looks really easy for him. It doesn't look like he's maxing out. And we've seen what a maxed out Jordan Hicks can throw, which is like 104. So he's dialing that back. The splitter is nasty. The slider's been really good. It's just clear that like he is a pitcher. Like he's not just a guy who's like made money because he can throw really hard, but like he has a real clear idea of what's going on out there. If I can ask a question of you real quick, Evan, would it shock you if he had a better year than Blake Snell?
No. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they finished the season with around the same amount of innings. And if last year is any indication, Snell will take a month or 2 to figure it out, and then he'll be unstoppable. But there is going to be this painful period at the beginning here. And I don't know. Hicks has been really good. I think, again, it's a question of just what his arm can handle and how far that they want to push him this year. I think might depend on like the way that our winning record goes over the season. That determines whether like Hicks even like stays in, or because I think like if Ray comes back late in the year and suddenly we're doing something, then and Hicks falters, I don't think that he'd necessarily get the nod over somebody like Ray or Cobb or something like that. But who knows? I'd love to see it be a more difficult discussion, but just nice to have somebody to know that you can turn on the game and be like, we're going to be competitive today.
Yeah. And we've mentioned this a couple times, but I feel that way with every starter who takes the mound for us, that there's legit excitement with anybody that we throw out there, which, God, if we have a similar record to last year, but that is a difference between this year's team and last year's team, where it was like, oh, cool, we're going to have our, Ryan Walker or John Brebbia opener, and then pray we can get to the 7th inning. And now it's like, we've got a starter who I love watching. Keaton Wynn is 0-3, and I've enjoyed every one of his starts.
Yeah.
And I think he's really impressive.
Yeah. I have a question for you.
Oh, me?
Yes.
Go ahead.
You, Clark. Here are some numbers that I'm going to read you. Here's one, 135. Here's another, 257. Here's another, 140. What are these numbers of? The OPSs of Mitch Haniger, Joey Bart, and Jock Peterson. Did Farhan mess it all up?
No, I'm going to say plainly. It does really hurt, though, to see guys who were not that productive for us last year then just be good immediately, and then Chapman and Soler kind of start off rough. And, my takeaway is props to those guys. Joey Bart in particular, hitting 2 home runs for the Pirates in a week is annoyingly awesome.
He's going to be hitting
I'm happy for
162 in about 2 weeks, so check back in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Or he'll bat 300 and he'll be an all-star, and we're going to cry.
Don't say that.
But
don't say that.
No, that's not actually going to happen. But yeah, I want to flip it because Alex Cobb, wrong Alex. Alex Wood and Ross Stripling both have ERAs over 6 for the A's. who otherwise are actually winning some games. A's have won their last 3 series. So if they didn't have Alex Wood and Ross Stripling, they might even be better. But yeah, I think you can turn to either side of that and make a judgment. But with everything, it's early. It's early. Small
It's
sample
early on
size.
everything. Yeah, it's true. It's true.
I love you bringing that up, though.
I mean,
it hurts me.
before I get off it, I just want to say, like, I feel like people talk about it, but Mauricio Dubon won a Gold Glove last year, and almost 2, if not 2. Like, that's insane. And I just thought of him, and I was like, rooting for you, I guess. Like 90%, 10%.
Yeah.
I want you to fail.
No, I am. I mean, he plays the same role that Tyler Fitzgerald is playing for us. And we haven't talked about Tyler Fitzgerald at all. A favorite of yours.
Should be starting.
Basically single-handedly. Yeah. Who's he starting over? Who's he starting
anybody? Like, just get in there. No, I mean, spell Ahmed for a bit.
The tough thing is I have not been impressed with the defense. Every time he started it short, it's a little cringy, or like a little just like I'm holding my breath when the ball goes to short. And when it goes to Ahmed, I like go on and do something else. I'm like so confident he's going to make a play.
Put him in right.
I still love Yaz. I love that Melvin this week has gotten Fitz more playing time, because I think he replaced Jung-Hoo Lee on Wednesday. We got Lee a rest day. He played for Ahmed today. I would imagine in the upcoming Marlins series, he'll replace Tyro for a game and just kind of give him a start or 2 a week at those positions and kind of mix it in. But he's also been pinch hitting and pinch running at the end of games. But he's dynamic, man. I've been really enjoying what he's brought to the team.
Yeah. I mean,
except for his shortstop defense.
just a little bit of speed. I need some speed in my life. I need some steals in my life. And I think we've made a deliberate effort to do that. And I don't know. I just need some excitement. But should we look ahead to the games that are to come to see if we might be able to get back on track in any type of way?
Yeah, so I just hinted at it, but we're playing the Marlins in Miami after losing 2-3 to the Rays, which I think losing 2-3 to the Rays in Tampa is like not the worst thing. It's expected. I would have liked to have seen us win after losing the Nats. Neither here nor there. But we need to take care of business against a Marlins team that's been pretty bad to start the year. And we need to start winning series. I mean, the only series we won so far happened because Ha-Seong Kim met Jorge Soler's shoulder and the ball went into center field. So we need to pick it up and beat bad teams. And then we've got the Diamondbacks for 4 games. Your boy is going to 3 of those games. So next Sunday when we record, I will have some perspective from ye old Oracle Park. Big division rival. I think the Diamondbacks more than anyone are kind of our peers right now in baseball, and a team that I could see us fighting with to the end of the season. So those will be important games. I want to just see a positive week, like a 4-3 week. I'll be stoked with, Can we just win some games? That's all I'm asking for.
I think I have a solution for what ails us, and it's worked for us before and it could work for us again. The answer is PEDs. Everybody start popping some pills and get me some home runs, damn it. No. But
hey, yesterday that was the truth. The 5 home runs are a breath of fresh air.
I just wanted to live in that game and forget that the rest of them happened. But we want to thank you for joining us for another episode of Foggy with a Chance of Seagulls. We will see you sometime soon. We're a whimsical duo. You don't know when you're going to catch us.
Yeah.
But sometime soon, maybe next week, talking about the San Francisco Giants. Have a blessed day.